Um, Let us explore what actually is cultural appropriation and meditation. Let's see, I think I'm going to tap button 5. After all these years, I'm still a little befuddled by OBS. So let's jump right in. Philosophy. 101. So in Philosophy 101, they introduce us to the Okay. Sorry about that, guys. Must have happened when I typed in 101. So let's talk about deceit. I probably misspelled deceit because that's my special talent. So, not everybody is interested in meditation. That's fine. But sometimes people not only want to own their disinterest in meditation, but they want to do it in a way that makes themselves feel superior to those who do. So they'll say something like, I don't practice meditation because insert self-righteous justification here. I don't practice meditation because I don't want to culturally appropriate. I don't practice meditation because I don't believe in cults. I don't practice meditation because I don't believe in superstition. I don't practice meditation because I have the courage to live life without any rules. So once again, it's not uncommon. I once met someone who said, well, I don't want to be vegan because I want to make sure I get my trace minerals. Great. Let's have a discussion about the trace minerals you're scared of not getting. Nope. So it turns out that that reason they gave was not the reason they have. It was just an excuse. Same thing with meditation. One time I was at I was in a uh, I was in a toxic relationship with someone, and we were driving together, and she got hungry and wanted to go eat fish at a fish restaurant. And I was going to keep her company, but as a vegan, I wasn't going to eat fish. And as I was walking through the restaurant, someone stopped me and said, "Oh, are you a meditation teacher?" Because of the way I dress. And I said, "Yes, how can I help you?" And they said, "I'm interested in meditation, but I just can't find a worthy teacher." And right there, they told me or inferred to me that they didn't really want to meditate, but they wanted to find a really self-righteous reason not to meditate. And so I let them keep talking. And basically, they said that whenever they found a teacher, they would find a fault and therefore determined that that teacher was unworthy to teach them. So I did my best to explain that the test of a teacher is not their beauty or wealth or fame or prestige or popularity. It's simply the efficacy of their techniques. So the only way to test a teacher is in the laboratory, the metaphoric laboratory of our own body and mind. So how does that work? Just like this. We ask a teacher for a technique. The teacher gives us a technique and tells us how to practice it. We practice it for at least 5 minutes once every 12 hours for 7 consecutive days. At the end of the second practice on the seventh day, we notice our results. If this technique, this paltry practice of one technique, has increased our peace and has increased our love, then we know we've found something that benefits us. If after a week of twice daily practice, we find that it hasn't benefited our peace or our love, or maybe even exacerbated our anxiety and our aggression, for smart, we'll approach the teacher and say, I didn't get great results. Now, if that teacher it offers you some refinements, then try again for another week. If that teacher can't help you or won't help you, then find a better teacher. Now through process of elimination, you're one step closer to finding a good teacher. That's how someone who's clever and sincere finds a teacher. But this person I was speaking to at that restaurant was neither clever nor sincere. And so as we're talking, the person I was traveling with, the toxic person, insulted me, said something demeaning towards me. And the moment I did, the person I was speaking to gave a delighted facial expression to her companion and nodded, as if to say, well, I guess if someone doesn't like you, you're an unworthy teacher. Forgetting the fact that there were some people who didn't like Jesus, there were some people who didn't like Lao Tzu, and there were some people who didn't like the Buddha. Ignoring that, she was just looking for an excuse not to practice. People will always do that. People will always look for ridiculous excuses not to practice. One time, a young man contacted me and said, "I want to learn how to meditate." I said, "Fine. I live at this address. Come over." He said, "Well, I don't want to spend the carbon to get on a bus." "Okay, then ride your bike." "Well, I feel that would use carbon as well." I said, "Great. Well, we can do this over the computer." "Nope, can't do that." And so basically, he was trying. He didn't. He was. It was weird, and to me, it's weird because I've always been a go-getter, and I just don't have the intestinal fortitude for long-term deception. Not because I'm superior, it's just because I'm autistic. But so there is always going to be someone who concocts a pseudo-intellectual reason not to do something that's really, really useful. You can find someone to come up with some ridiculous, mashugana reasons not to eat a whole food vegan diet, not to work out, not to practice, not to get fresh air, sunshine, exercise, not to get, not to cultivate healthy sleeping habits, anything good. You'll find some people who don't want to do it, and then you'll find a subgroup who don't want to do it for pseudo-intellectual, pseudo-spiritual, pseudo-ethical reasons. In conclusion, every high spiritual master is happy to share their teachings with others. 50% of the Buddha's Eightfold Path pertains to loving kindness. In other words, when we practice mindfulness and meditation correctly, we set ourselves up to experience the highest love, which is spontaneous and uncontrived. There's no way we can lovingly colonize. There's no way we can lovingly exploit. There's no way we can lovingly rape, pillage, and kill. Therefore, just as the momentum of a gyroscope keeps it upright, similarly, the practice of meditation precludes our exploitation of others. It makes it an impossibility. It would make the very thought of it nauseous to us. If you're an old guy like me, you might remember A Clockwork Orange by something Kubrick. I forgot his first name. By Kubrick. Anyway, at one point, a violent villain, was conditioned to be completely nauseated by the thought of violence. And then later on, when someone tried to attack him, he couldn't defend himself, for the thought of violence made him nauseous. The most he could do was vomit on himself and his assailant. In a lesser degree, the more we practice mindfulness and meditation, the more the exploitation of others becomes an impossibility. Having concluded this morning's opening lesson, it's time for us to shift gears. It is yet a Monday morning. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is the Renegade Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I've spent let's try this again. I've harnessed my autistic special interests and my ADHD hyperfocus to spend about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that I can become your nerdy, neurodivergent guide to nirvana. Welcome, my friends, to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. Now let us turn our attention to the latest iteration of very easy meditation practice text, or sadhana, if you're nasty. Together, let us relaxingly recite. Whatever comes, may all beings notice, relax, and flow. Whatever stays, may all beings notice, relax, and flow. Whatever goes, may all beings notice, relax, and flow. Welcome to the first quarter of this morning's group meditation. Upon the tip of our left ring finger, we could rest the great knuckle at the base of our right ring finger, palms up in our lap. Doing so could gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to automatically coalesce at the navel region of our mid-abdomen. Let's take a moment to review the mechanics of mindfulness. Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, we have evolved to automatically access the sympathetic nervous system. What's what I'm looking for here? The sympathetic nervous system you know what? I need to delete this real quick. There we go. The sympathetic nervous system ensconced within the middle third of our spinal cord. This sympathetic nervous system has evolved to help us to notice in a very special way, to help us to notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. What then are we to do with that which we notice? Why we meditate. But how does that work? Every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we are already wired to automatically access the parasympathetic nervous system, divided between the lower third and the upper third of that same spinal cord. Our parasympathetic nervous system has evolved to support both physical relaxation as well as mental release. Now that we understand the role that our autonomic nervous system plays in mindfulness and meditation, how can we best cooperate with it? During each inhalation, we could silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this, and during each exhalation, we could silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease. Together as a team, let us practice this right now. Welcome to the second quarter of this morning's group meditation. Upon the tip of our left index finger, we could rest the right knuckle at the base of our right index finger, palms up in our lap. Doing so could gently invite or real or imagine subtle energies to automatically coalesce at the crown region of our head. Let's review mindfulness. Every time we inhale, thanks to our sympathetic nervous system, we are wired to vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly notice mind's antics of perception. You know, sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like, including emotions, intentions, cognitions, recollections, and imaginings. What are we to do with all that which we can notice? Why, we meditate, of course. How does that work? Well, oopsie, here we go. Every time we exhale, thanks to our parasympathetic nervous system, we are wired to practice both physical relaxation as well as mental release. Knowing about these two features of our autonomic nervous system, how can we best cooperate with the process? Simple. During each inhalation, we could silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this, which is the only label we need ever use. And during our exhalation, we could silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease. Together, let us practice right now. Welcome to the third quarter of this morning's group meditation. Upon the tip of our left middle finger, we could rest the great knuckle at the base of our right middle finger, palms up in our lap. Doing so could gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to coalesce at the heart region of our chest. By way of review, every time we inhale, thanks to our sympathetic nervous system, we are wired to vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly notice all manner of phenomena. From the external to the internal, from the physical to the mental, from the pleasurable to the painful, from the interesting to the boring, from the glorious to the grotesque. What are we to do with all that which we noticed? Why, we meditate, of course. For during each exhalation, thanks to our parasympathetic nervous system, we are wired to practice both physical relaxation as well as mental release. So how can we best cooperate with our autonomic nervous system? Simple. During each inhalation, we could silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this, and during each exhalation, we could silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb is. Together, let us practice right now, and remember, the moment you have a specific question about Buddhist meditation or Buddhist philosophy, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. Welcome to the final quarter of this morning's group meditation. Upon the tip of our left ring finger, we could rest the great knuckle at the base of our right ring finger, palms up in our lap. Doing so could gently invite or real or imagined subtle energies to automatically coalesce at the navel region of our mid-abdomen. Welcome aboard to the final quarter of this morning's group practice. Let's review the mechanics of mindfulness. Every time we inhale, thanks to our sympathetic nervous system, we are already wired to vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly notice dualities, such as lack and boon, pain and bliss, scorn and praise, shame and fame. What are we to do with all that which we notice? Well, we meditate, of course, but how does that work? Every time we exhale, thanks to our parasympathetic nervous system, we are wired to practice both physical relaxation as well as mental release. So now that we know the role played by our autonomic nervous system, how can we best cooperate with it? Simple. During each inhalation, we could silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this. And during each exhalation, we could silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb, ease. Together as a team, let's practice. you have taken your first step into a much larger world. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 11 hours, I would very much like to return to lead today's evening meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.